I think there's a gooning conspiracy going on in this country. Let me be as clear and concise as possible.
Please do, because I had to look up what gooning was, and I was very disappointed to find out it had nothing to do with kids going on an adventure to find hidden treasure. However, there is a one-eyed Willy involved in a lot of it, apparently, so there is that.
All of the right-wing controlled apps, Instagram and X, push gooning content so heavily. Why is this a problem? What are the dots I'm trying to connect?
Aside from being super annoying that they never seem to get the community guidelines violations for actually violating the community guidelines that I get for not, that was exactly the question I was wondering. And for everybody who hasn't caught on, gooning is porn or something to do with porn, like watching too much porn, I don't know.
Did you know that the average age people start watching porn is 11 years old?
I mean, according to the APA, it's 13.37 years old, but I don't think we need to split hairs on that.
If these kids are on Instagram or they're on X, they're going to see porn.
If your kids are on Twitter, I think porn is probably the least of their problems. I'd be more worried about, the white supremacy. But like, dude, you think kids need to go to Instagram or Twitter to see porn? I was giving my computer AIDS trying to download that shit on LimeWire when I was their age. Like, let's be real, kids aren't going to social media apps to see smut. They're going to Pornhub. Like, let's be real, trying to get off on Instagram is a lot of extra steps when they've got entire websites dedicated to this shit.
What are the effects of porn on your mind? It causes you to be antisocial, it causes you to be bad at eye contact, and it teaches you to objectify women, which teaches you to hate women.
No, it doesn't. Is this like a Covenant Eyes advertisement or something? Because you're starting to sound like a youth pastor. There's literally no scientific consensus that supports that theory.
When you objectify women, you feel entitled to them. But because you're all weird and antisocial from watching all that porn, you get no bitches.
Dude, no. Men have been objectifying women long before Instagram, my guy. Now, first I want to say he goes on to make a lot of excellent points highlighting some of the problems with incels on the right-wing pipeline. The pasty white trench coat wearing, I studied the blade kids from high school who are mad at the world because nobody will touch their pee-pee are definitely the target of the right wing. And then a bunch of mediocre white men with podcasts suck them into the red pill universe by telling them it's not their fault nobody wants to touch their pee-pee, it's everybody else's fault. And they don't tell them that, you need to improve as a person because you kind of suck. They tell them that the rest of the world needs to change to accommodate you because you're really an alpha and all of these other people are the problem. That is 100% real, and he highlights that process pretty well. But then he tries to blame it on porn on Instagram and Twitter, and then he goes further by trying to say that this is like an orchestrated conspiracy by the right wing to turn kids into these incels that are susceptible to that kind of brainwashing. And that is just not accurate, and it's a harmful narrative for a couple of reasons. First off, men have been objectifying and oppressing and abusing women for as long as we've existed. Like we didn't need porn to start sucking. We've just always sucked. And while porn can cause some problems by creating unrealistic expectations of body types and healthy sexual behavior, that is simply a symptom of a societal failure, not the cause. See, porn does not cause people to objectify women or have unhealthy sexual relationships any more than violent video games or movies cause people to go out and commit murder. This is akin to say that women who enjoy depictions of more forced sexual encounters in like their spicy literature or movies want that to happen to them in real life, which they absolutely don't. They can separate that, and it's fucking ridiculous, right? People have the ability to separate fantasy and fiction from reality, and they do. Science has proven this over and over again, from violent video games and movies to porn to whatever. See, it's not porn that causes men to objectify women and feel entitled to them and to be abusive. No, electing people to the presidency who brag about grabbing women by the pussy does that. Letting people like Brock Turner off with a slap on the wrist because they didn't want to ruin his bright future does that. Allowing people like Nick Fuckface to say your body, my choice without any repercussions does that. If kids are raised in homes in a society where they are taught to respect women, where they are taught that objectification and abusive behavior is wrong, where rapists aren't rewarded with the highest positions of government and society, where people are scorned and vilified for objectifying women and harshly punished for hurting them, then you get boys who grow up to actually be men, because if you don't respect women, you're not a man. And I'll tell you what, I am sick of all of these right-wing Nazi fucks trying to identify as men. And here's the thing, is blaming porn for these underlying societal issues is harmful, not only because it's not addressing the actual problem, but also because it shames people, and especially impressionable kids, to feel bad and shame and guilt about emotions and desires they have that are perfectly natural. People like watching other people get it on. We have since the dawn of time. That's not gonna change. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's done in a safe, healthy, and consensual way by people who have been educated about the differences between fantasy, fiction, and reality. But making that topic taboo, making people feel shame and guilt about that, is what leads to all of the problems we were just talking about. It's what leads to unhealthy consumption of porn, unhealthy relationships with other people. It's why kids in religious families get so fucked up, right? If you can't have an honest conversation with a kid about why what they see in porn is not what they should expect from their partner in a relationship, that's where you get boys who don't know how to treat women. And if you don't know how to treat women, you're not going to find any women that want to be with you. And if you can't find somebody who wants to be with you, then trying to climb Maslow's hierarchy of needs is harder than a millennial trying to climb the corporate ladder behind a boomer. You just keep getting kicked back down to the bottom, and that's where the Andrew Tates and the Ben Shapiros and the Jordan Petersons of the world just swoop in and suck these kids up into these alt-right pipelines. So if we really want to solve this problem, it starts with teaching your boys to be men. It starts with glorifying and making real men who respect women and treat them as equals cool. It starts with making social pariahs out of the little boys who want to objectify and abuse women. But shaming kids and telling them that watching porn is going to turn them into a Nazi is not going to help this problem. We can fix this problem by just telling your boys that there's absolutely nothing a woman finds sexier than being treated with respect, and there's nothing that's going to send them back to Rosie Palmer faster than objectifying them or treating them like shit. And just a side note, unless we're talking about food at the county fair, can we stop saying corn? Okay? It's just weird. Thanks.